On today's episode, nothing, 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 nothing. Wait, what's this? Oh, you got to be kidding. You got to be nuts to buy something like that.
3 hours later.
As you can see from the intro video, which was horribly reenacted, I was browsing a estate sales site that lists all the local estate sales going on. And this one happened to be like a thrift store slash secondhand store that was going out of business. And for the first 200 or 300 pictures, it was just knickknacks and home goods and things. And at the very bottom was that picture of that really horrible Yamaha DX7. And I debated about it for a little bit and eventually took the ride down there and figured, what the heck, give it a shot. When I found the guy, he says, oh yeah, it was still available. And he said it belonged to his brother and it was in a house fire. But he said he thought it worked the last time they played it. So, yep, that old ran when parked thing. But when I asked him how much he was asking for it, he said $125. And I said sold right there. I mean, that was worth the gamble for one of these for me. I've always kind of wanted a Yamaha DX7. I mean, this is one of the best-selling synthesizers of all time. And they were all over the place. Well, the sounds were, and they were all over the place in all the top songs back in, the 80s and even into the 90s a little bit. They still used it. And to this day, fun fact, if you watch a Taco Bell commercial, the bong or whatever they use when they show the Taco Bell jingle, that's a DX7 sound. That's the tubular bell sound or something like that. I mean, the sounds from the DX7, they've just saturated pop culture for 40 years. So I've got, the emulated, DX and things like that. And I even have a Yamaha DX200, which came out around 2000 maybe. It was a little desktop groove box that had, an emulated DX7 in it. And it sounds incredible. And it'll load the DX7 patches and all, but I really wanted the physical DX7 keyboard to kind of complement my Roland D50 to have like a little best of 80s little synthesizer duo going. But anyway, the guy brought me around the back of the shop where he had it, and he opened the case, and immediately you could see all of the padding that had disintegrated and just smelled like a burnt house. And looking on top, it was just nothing but that pile. It looked like ash. But when you brushed it away a little bit, I saw some pedals and it would look like little data cartridges. So I said, definitely. I just got my little phone out, got the little Venmo on a tiki-tock thing, and paid the gentleman and hauled it away. Which brings us to me trying to clean this thing out. Well, first things first, we've got to get this thing cleaned up a bit. I opened it up and gave it a quick look when I was at the facility, and you'll get to see the mess. Whew. Yeah, this thing was definitely in some kind of fire. You can smell just, yeah. Oh God. The thing is, it's not even as bad as the smell-o-vision that I reviewed last year. It's just burnt. But it doesn't look like it affected anything on the keyboard other than all the foam became separated and fell through, which reveals some stuff. Right here, we have a ROM cartridge. This is let me see if I can get this in here, the Orchestral and Complex Effects, or Complex and Effects group. So we got one filthy cartridge. over here we have, looks like holders for said cartridges. We have a sustain pedal. We have a Yamaha, full of crust. We have an expression pedal here. Don't know if that's any good, but yeah, look, it's just got a little foam damage in it. But other than that, it looks like it's in decent shape. That's a bonus. Oh shit, motherload. A harmonica from, looks like the Marine Band. It's a Honer. The only thing this thing's going to be good for is to tie wrap it under somebody's bumper and play a practical joke on them when they drive. So, yeah, right there. Oh, we have another cartridge here. This is a rewritable one. Memory Protect. Oop, sorry about that. My big bird feet got the best of me. But yeah, that's a rewritable cartridge. Let me get this a little more lined up. Sorry about that, folks. We got 2 memory cartridges. More foam. Oh, look at here. We have a 3rd memory cartridge. This is the Master Group. Oh, there we go. And keyboard and plucked group. So 3 cartridges. And while I was, on my way home looking up prices on Reverb, those average about $80 a piece. So 3 cartridges, $80. I'm bad at math, but yeah, it more than made up for what I paid for this. And this is an anvil case, old school, made in USA, weighs 3 times more than the keyboard. All it needs is a nice cleaning and some new foam. That's worth the price of the keyboard alone. Let's see what else. Oh, we have the voice library right there. Is that it for the thing? All right, now we can start doing some CSI work on this thing. Drag my trash bag over this way. Get as much as I can out by hand. Of course, I got my little shop vac, but I don't want to suck up anything valuable in the process. Oh, God, the smell. Like I said, it just smells like a house fire, not like that abomination that was that Smello Disc Vision thing. All right. Yeah, it's... Okay, first impressions. Well, you got a cracked side right here. All the keys are intact. And I'm going to crank up my little mini shop vac. So just enjoy some homebrew background music while I get this thing cleaned up, unless you really want to hear the noise of a shop vac for the next couple of minutes. But I don't think you do. Okay, now I'm going to take it out of the case, empty out the case, and continue cleaning this a little bit better. Oh, there's like funk all along the back of this thing. Ugh. I should have wore gloves, but I need to build up my immune system a bit. Ugh. Oh, look at that. Manuals. Ugh. Let's see what we got in here. Oh, we have the DX7 operation manual. It's I'm just gonna knock some funk out of it, and that'll be just fine. We have warranty ID card. Look, I got a date code on it. January. I guess it's January. J something 22, 1986. Serial number 103 503. Dealer telephone 504 488 488. I'm betting they bought this at Warlines. They were a local music store in New Orleans. 504 is definitely the right area code, but they have some cheater notes here and performance notes for the voice library. Yeah, that's going to need its own cleaning there. Oofa. All right, let's see if there's any more buried treasures under here real quick. Might have to empty out the shop vac. All right, so that is most of the case cleared out. I mean, it's going to need a scrubbing and a really good deep cleaning, and then put some new foam in here. But then we'll have a perfectly good case that'll sit in my closet because I no longer play live music anymore. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe I can sell and get some of my money back for this thing, but this, I mean, you can't beat these anvil cases. So, that's done. Let's continue cleaning this guy off. What? Whew. Good God, is it a mess? No, you have to replace the power cord or patch that up somehow. Let me empty the shop vac again. Okay, I let this thing air out, got most of the goo off of this thing. Still smells like a fire sale a little bit, but we'll see what happens. And I apologize for the weird angle. This room is very small, so I've got to work with what I've got. So, that being said, let me take this deck off here. Apparently there are just 5 screws that hold it on. Yamaha made this thing very serviceable. I mean, I have a Roland D50 and an Alpha Juno 2 that, and they're pretty much the same build and the way you access them and all, and they're not that bad either. This one is a lot easier, apparently. So you got 4 on the top, 1 in the back, and then this lid should just fold over on these hinges here. And there's that cracked side right there. I'm gonna have to, yeah, when I undo the screw, it just kind of flops out. All right, let's see what we've got. Oh, wow. This is very, very clean. I'm shocked. Apparently, a lot of the disintegrated foam stayed out of this. Some dust, and that's just to be expected after, 40 plus years, maybe almost. I think the sales date on this was 86. So yeah, we're coming up 39 years. Let me zoom in a little bit here. And you can see the condition of these boards. I mean, nothing looks corroded or bulging, capacitor wise. There's the IO board. Well, the output board and your MIDI connectors. There's the key bed up there. Pan across this way. And what looks like the power supply, that looks relatively decent. And there's the 120 in. There's a little reefer cap right there. I'm hesitant to power it on because, those things love to release the magic smoke after years of inactivity. So let me zoom back out. All right. I'm going to stop right here, do a closer inspection on these capacitors, and I'll get right back to you. Okay. Everything looks good-ish. All the capacitors, there are no doming or bulging or nothing's leaking out of them. Let me plug it in. Okay. 120's plugged in. Let me put this in. This is going to my guitar amplifier. I hopefully have it on a clean channel. It still may sound a little distorted because it's a guitar amp and not a keyboard amp. All right, fingers crossed. Power on. Oh, yep, there we go. Yamaha DX7. That's the dead key. Something's up with the volume. I mean, this volume slider is still probably incredibly dirty. Maybe, hopefully. Yeah. Got a portamento on it, sounds like. Drum. Yeah, the volume's cutting in and out. Aside from the volume cutting out, it seems like all the keys work. Velocity sensitive. Nice little sound to test because I can hear difference. Oh, volume cutting out again. Yeah. The higher up you go, it's harder to hear the difference in sounds from velocity. All right, let's see. Pitch bend works. Mod wheel. Nah, it doesn't sound like it's doing anything. Maybe it's just a sound. Yeah. Data entry. Let's see. This slider work. Let's see. I have to go into a function, maybe. Let's see. I don't want a super tune thing. Okay, let's see. Sine wave. Let's see. Okay. The data entry seems to be working. How do I get back into these sounds? There it is. Okay. So, initial report. All the keys work. The sliders work. The mod wheel, I have to check that one out. There's something going on with the audio. It's cutting in and out. It may be that potentiometer needs to be cleaning, or I actually just may have to get a capacitor kit and recap this main board in there. With the heat from that fire and that intense heat enough to disintegrate that padding may have affected the electrolytic paste in the capacitors, dried it out even more. That probably is what is happening right now. So, all right. Well, we've got a working, somewhat, DX7. I'm just glad it powers up and gets through the menus and everything like that. That means the main board is pretty much okay. So, huzzah! I just have to get this out, do a real deep cleaning on all the connectors, all the jacks, and go back and really give this guy a cleaning. I was online last night looking on Centaur. It's an online place that sells used keyboard parts. And although they do list a panel, they're out of stock of them. I did see a couple of aftermarket sellers who are selling solid wood side panels, but they're like $80. But you get two of them as opposed to $40 on Centaur for a replacement plastic side. So I don't know. But now that I know that this thing is working relatively well, I'll wait to pull a trigger on that one. The other issue is I thought I could find like a vinyl overlay or something, a wrap for this and on the back, but apparently that's not the case. They make them for a lot of other keyboards, but the Yamaha is one of the most popular keyboards ever made, and it's not there. So I don't know. We might just keep this patina look. I know that's all the rage with all the car videos that I watch that they rescue from the woods in a dump and things like that in junkyards. They like to keep the patina on it to make it look real. So I might just keep it like this. Who knows? It just looks grimy and grody, and I haven't used that word since like 1987. So there you go. But yeah, so I'm going to get together a parts list for this thing of capacitors and whatnot. Put that order in a DigiKey, and I'll be back to you when that gets in and done. Well, here's everything else that was in the case of the DX7 under all that mountain of disintegrated foam. We have a Yamaha branded sustain pedal. It's nice, heavy duty. Just needs a little bit clean up on the tip here. We have an expression pedal. It's a Yamaha brand as well. It too needs, where is that? A little cleaning up on the tip too, a little corrosion there. But other than that, looks like it works good. We have the 2 sound cartridges, volume 3 with the master group and keyboard and pluck group, and volume 4, which has the orchestral and percussive group and the complex and effects group. Also a little, I guess, handout or card or whatever that details the sounds that are on those things. To the side here. And we also have a rewritable data cartridge. Boom. Memory protect on. So that's these. As far as the paperwork, we have the original owner's manual, which still has a lot of that disintegrated foam gunk still on it. It smells like smoke, but it's not moldy, and none of the pages are stuck together, so that's a bonus. That's pretty cool. We also have a handout of the performance notes here that details the different sounds and things like that in the voice library, I guess. The factory, so it has like the different ROM sounds. Okay, that must go with the little cards there. We also have down here, hang tight, we have the original warranty card that was filled out. I traced this number back, and it went to a place called Allied Music in New Orleans. They just recently closed a few years ago. They were in business for a long time, obviously, since that's either January or June. I know it's not July 22nd of 86. So that's kind of cool, especially since the serial number got wiped off when I was cleaning everything. So that's the serial number of this guy. So, oh, wait, got one more. This was in the bottom. I guess whoever owned it is composing some music. I guess some little chord changes. Gonna have to try those out. So that's the haul from the Yamaha case, or the Anvil case. So hopefully they all still work, and we'll test that out. Before I take out the boards and recap them and replace the battery holder and things like that, I want to back up the internal patches in case the previous owner had some custom sounds in there. So I'll show you how to kind of do this. I am using a much older laptop and version of software and MIDI interface than, would commonly be used, but it's what I have lying around spare. So hang tight. This is a laptop I'm using. It's a thrift store rescue. Big shock. Paid like $10 for it. It's a Toshiba Satellite from the late aughts to the early teens, maybe. It runs Windows 7 Pro, and that's exactly what I need right now because the MIDI interface I'm using is an Edirol UM1. They're made by Roland. These things, this is like the first generation USB to MIDI adapter made by Roland, and they only work up until like Windows 8, maybe. I know not Windows 10, so I can't use my main rig. It's hooked into the appropriate outputs. I can still read that. This is powered on, and I'm using a program called MIDIOX. MIDIOX. I don't know how to pronounce it. And this is an old version of this too that I've been having forever. And it's a librarian and sysx transfer. And I just want to we're going to go to view. We want the sysx window open. So right there, we're in the command view, and let's see, we want to receive, stay focused. We want to receive a manual dump. Whatever. So right now it's waiting for me to transmit the data from the DX7. So I had to do a little research on this because this is probably one of the more complicated, not really complicated, just it's convoluted. But thanks to AI and I don't have to read a manual. Here's how we do that. We want to go to functions, and all these are the functions right here. And they don't tell you. There's a blank here. This is what you need. So why would it be labeled? So we're going to hit this 8 button, function MIDI transmit. We got to make sure, I'm going to keep hitting 8 because it's on MIDI channel 1. System info available. If it says system info unavailable, we can hit the data keys, yes or no, but we want to make sure it says system info available. Hit the number 8 key again till we get to MIDI transmit, and we want to hit why yes we do. I'm going to put this on the screen so you can see what happens. And there it is. That was nice and quick. Done, and it should display all the data right there. Okay. Now we want to save it. We're going to save it as, we're saving it to our sound banks folder as a sysx and SB7 for the Shake and Bake 7. So that's it. And we can close this out. And now the internal sound banks are saved, and we can load them in, after we do all the electronics, because once you take out that backup battery, it's going to lose all the internal memory. So I want to put that back on there. I also downloaded, on the internet, there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of banks available for the DX7. Just if you go to old user group archives, just put in DX7 sysx or sound banks, and they're all over the place, and there's tons of them. So I just wanted on a spree and downloaded them all. So with that MIDI-OX program and this, plus the cartridges, we can, swap them out as we want to. Just test them out, maybe compile the best of the best and save them on that one rewritable cartridge, and we should be good to go. So this is saved, and still waiting on the package from DigiKey with all my capacitors. When that comes in, we'll start taking this guy apart and recapping it. Just a quick review of what we got planned for this thing. This is the main board. I'm going to swap out all the capacitors in here. Hopefully that'll take care of that intermittent audio issue. If it's not the slide potentiometer, it could be one of the capacitors that are faulty or kind of going bad for the amplifier circuit. So like I said, these are 40 years old. They've been through extreme heat. We'll just do that. Also, I'm going to take out this battery and wire in this socket, which will let me replace the backup memory battery when it starts to die again. Probably just mount that along the back panel there. It's hard to see without the light. There you go. Close enough. And that just solders in right there. The mod wheel actually works. I found that out when I was menu diving to find out how to transfer the sound files to the PC. The mod wheel settings, every parameter was set to 0. Don't know how or why, but I maxed them all out, and this thing works like a champ. Still going to give it a good cleaning, though, but they work. Coming down a line, it's out the way. The power amp board, the power supply board, these are nice, big, beefy caps. The power coming off of this thing is nice and stable. It's 6, 7 capacitors to replace if I decide to do that down the line, and it's easy enough to get to. So we'll leave this just for now. Getting to the power input right here, since I have to replace this power cable in the back anyway because it's split and potentially a shock hazard, I'm going to do what I do with every keyboard I worked on or amplifier and replace that input with one of these. I harvested this out of a ATX power supply, and that way I can use any IEC or computer cable, and when you're lugging a computer, lugging a keyboard around, you don't want that cord just hanging down. It's a lot nicer to have this thing detachable, and you can call it up, throw it in your box or whatever. So yeah, that's going to trace it out, Dremel tool it, solder it in, good to go. Also, these reefer caps, they're going to be replaced ASAP. It's just a matter of time before these guys let out the magic smoke. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't when I turned it on. Usually when these things sit for a long time and you go to power it on and let electricity flow through it for a while, they will just pop, pop. And this has two of them, bonus points. So yeah, those are getting replaced. And oh, here's the broken side panel here. This part corner is cracked. And down here, I don't know if you can see it maybe, get a little zooming in. It's got a crack right there too. Synth doesn't have these in stock. Nobody does. So I will try to take this off, maybe epoxy it, JB weld it. Who knows? Whatever works, Down the line, I might get a replacement like an OLED display for this. It works, but to have one that's backlit LED or something like that, that's going to be really nice. It's not that hard to swap out. Just a couple of screws and a connector. Bam, there you go. Also, they make some chip upgrades. Actually, some aftermarket options to replace some of the operating system or enhance the operating system to give you better MIDI capabilities. One of them, I think, lets you like be able to randomize sounds and things like all kinds of cool stuff. And it's going to cost just as much as I paid for the keyboard. So there you go. But whatever. That's further down the line. I just want to play around with this guy first, get it up to, at least stock running condition. Then we'll start modding it out from there. But other than that, I mean, for the condition it was in on the outside, the inside of this thing is immaculate. I mean, this is really, really clean. So when the parts come in, we'll get to soldering. While I am still waiting for my capacitors to come in, I decided to remove the key bed right along here. Got it nice and cleaned out. It was actually really easy to get to. There are 4 holes on the bottom of the key of the synthesizer. 1 screw here that holds down the top, and these 2 over here that hold down the other side of the top. Thing just lifts and slides out. You've got a couple of cable connectors here and these guys here. And I gotta give props to the engineers at Yamaha because they made every connector a different size, so there's no chance of mixing them up. So that's all good. I cleaned this guy up too. This is the headphone and breath control insert that goes right there. So that's nice and cleaned up. And it did allow me to access the side panels. So I got this one off. This was kind of bent a bit. And this is what it looks like now. And these are all the broken pieces right here. Fortunately, all the pieces are there. And apparently, I can see there's some crazy glue or some kind of adhesive residue. They tried to fix this in the past, but it didn't last. So I'm going to see if I can find something suitable to rebuild that, since apparently these side pieces are unobtainium now. And also find a cleaner that'll take care of all of this. It almost looks like oxidation along here. And on the top, you see all of that funk right there. I mean, paint's already peeling up. I don't want anything too harsh because I don't want to take off any more that's already gone. But, I mean, you do what you can with what you got. Another update. While I am anxiously awaiting the United States Postal Service to deliver my capacitors from DigiKey, I decided to tackle the side panels here. This guy here, I was able to reattach this back corner, this foot right here, and this front section here. Now, the original owner used a lot of crazy glue. You can tell, well, not really now because I sanded a lot of it off, but when you use a lot of super glue, it leaves kind of a clearish film residue that kind of gets foggy in some places, and it never lasts. I mean, the only thing that super glue is absolutely guaranteed to bond is a thumb to a forefinger. That's it. What I ended up using was this JB Weld plastic bonder. I was actually looking for JB Weld, their plastic weld epoxy, but this was right next to it. I found it in the Walmart automotive section of all places. Why I went with this is, one, it's black. It's more of a, I mean, it's a kind of a color match. The other one was clear, but this one, apparently you can use it as a filler, which means it's probably sandable and paintable, which is good because after this part cures, I'm letting it cure for strength and stability. I'm going to go back and let's see, we still have a couple of cracks and holes there. This one I'm not worried about because you will never see this, but this you might see from the key bed, kind of glaze over this, and then go over with varying grits of sandpaper till I get a nice smooth kind of finish. I'm going to leave a little scuff coat on it because I found some paint that actually matches perfectly. The Rust-Oleum dark walnut satin. Fun fact, the DX7 isn't truly black. It's more of a dark brown. So here you go, dark brown, satin finish, satin finish. So gonna sand this down, paint it, and I have the other one. I'm going to just scuff coat this side, give it a paint so we'll match. And as for the rest of the keyboard, I tried using various things to get this oxidation off, and nothing is working. I tried everything from a light, like mixed vinegar and water, to straight vinegar, to actually, as a last ditch, I tried some of this stuff, the Meguiar's compound rub, but I think this is more for clear coats than anything. It's actually got a little shine to it. It's kind of hard to see right there, but you still have this mess. I think this is beyond anything I can really do. So what I might do is I'm going to paint this part of it, and the front and like the bottom maybe, but the top where you have the graphics and on the back where it says Yamaha DX7, I'm going to clean that off really well and just clear coat it with some satin polyurethane, just to keep any more rust from forming or any oxidation from forming. I really, really wanted to get a sticker overlay to go over this and in the back, and there was a person on Reverb that was actually custom making them and selling them, but they since stopped doing that, and the seller's account has been disabled or deleted, so there's no way to get in touch with them, and that's the only place I've ever seen that. I don't really want to cover this with paint. I kind of like seeing everything, even if it's worse for wear. It gives it character. Character goes a long way. Other things, I actually cleaned the sliders out, took the board down, gave the potentiometers a good cleaning with some Old Faithful deoxit, and measured them out. They work fine. Same with the mod and the pitch bend wheels down there. The whole key bed is great. The whole electronics in this thing are really, really clean. I mean, no corrosion, no rust. Everything is just beautiful. I lucked out, on that end. It's just really just cosmetic work, which I can work around. So, that's about it until the post office sees fit to deliver, my package. It used to be just a few days when you ordered from DigiKey on using the post office. Now it's going on a week or so. Anyway, so yeah, waiting for that and waiting for a nice dry day, which I think this weekend, towards the latter half of the weekend, the humidity is supposed to be decent enough. I know I live outside of New Orleans where 80%, 90% humidity happens 362 days out of the year, maybe. I had to guess. So it's kind of like catching a unicorn when you get data spray well at, you won't get the orange peel finish. So that's it. I'll be back when I have some progress to show. I missed this little guy on the first cleaning, XZ85. That there is the date code. So it was made in 1985. And if X and Z are any indicators of, month or quarter, week, day, whatever, that's pretty much at the ass end of 85. I'll do some research and see if I can nail down an exact date from this. So, yeah, that's kind of cool. I finished sanding down that broken side piece. I started with 120 grit sandpaper just to knock down that filler to the surface, and then worked my way up to 180 grit and 220 and finally 320 with got everything nice and smooth. Yeah, if I can show you, it'll focus in. Yep, nice and smooth. When you get new paint on it, hopefully you won't even see that crack anymore. That's pretty much just filler right there at that point. Let's see, flip it over here on the back side. Yeah, backside. Same thing. You can see the crack, but that's really filler. It's smooth. There's no dip in it at all. It's just the discoloration or the contrast in color between the original plastic and the filler right there. So I'm going to, this already technically has the scuff coat on it. I'm going to scuff coat the other one and paint them now that the humidity is at, I guess, an acceptable level. And I'll show you the result when I get back. Got the side panels out of the paint booth, aka a couple of strings hanging down from the rafters in my workshop. This came out pretty good. I mean, you can still see some blemishes in the plastic that were there before the paint job. And also, it looks like the filler might have been kind of porous. So, if this thing was a museum piece, this would be a complete failure. But it isn't, so it's not. And like the old saying goes, if you squint, it's mint. Ooh, shiny. Well, I finally got all of my capacitors in 4 days late. Thank you, U.S. Postal Service. But they're in. They're replaced. All up in here. Also have the battery holder for the internal memory. I relocated it. Pulled out the old one. Just hot wired some wires right there. And now it's held on here with some industrial strength Velcro. Also, I have my IEC input right here going into the power supply board. Well, one of the power supply boards. It's just a line filter. Reefa cap back here is no longer a Reefa cap. It is a better name brand that hopefully won't burn up. So that's good. A little JB Weld. I cut it a little too big. But JB Weld, it's also almost a perfect color match. So huzzah. Anyway, I'm going to reassemble this guy and I'll check back with you shortly. Got everything back together and was testing it just fine, but I noticed this octave of notes, which was the second from the highest, just this little bank of them. When you would play, it would only register the normal velocity, not the hard velocity. So I was thinking it may have been a bad solder joint or something in here. So I just went ahead and resoldered everything. Also cleaned up all these little contact switches that controls said velocity. I guess when the key comes up like that, it'll hit this one. But if you hit it harder, there's another one down there. It'll actually engage to make that harder velocity register. So cleaned everything out, reassembled it. We're going to get it back together. Going to give the keys a really good cleaning. I'm not going to remove them. Just going to wipe each one down while they're in here and, get it nice and pretty. And then hopefully get everything back together and working 100%. Whenever you change the battery, you lose all the memory. And there's no backup settings on a chip in here, like on some of the other keyboards of the day. So what you have to do is you have to reinitialize it from the included cartridges, which thank God I still have. We want the master group, which has the factory sounds in it. And what we do go ahead and just put it in the slot here. And we're going to go to check the memory protection. It says it's on. We're going to change that real quick. No. All right. And now we're going to do I have it on battery check. It looks good, but we want to load it from the cartridge. Load memory, all of memory. I hit the little yes button here. Yep. Are you sure? Yes. Completed. And that's it. So we can go to the internal, and it still shows the blank, but when you hit it, boom, flute. And take out the cartridge. Yeah. All good. And with that, she's all done. Is it in mint condition? Oh, heavens no. But is it in much better shape than when we found it? Oh, by light years. I mean, I kind of lucked out. It just really needed a cleaning and, some recapping on that board. Other than that, she's in great shape. This plastic overlay that covers the buttons is usually one of the harder things to replace. Not really harder. They do make reproduction of these things, but this is in really good shape. Repainted like the metal strip here, down here as well. Let me kind of get on that. This cleaned up well. All the connections are good. The mod wheel and the pitch bend are working perfectly. Sliders work great. Everything works so good on this. The sides are nice, damn near color accurate. That Rust-Oleum dark walnut really is the way to go. To satin finish, it looks really, really good. This side here, they had the crack in it. I said you can still see a little bit of that, but you know what? It holds it fine, locks it in. It's good. The back here, the power adapter mod I made, fits perfectly. Just need a little JB weld on the inside there to keep it in place, but hey, it works. In the back, well, it's a back, but it has the clear coat, which will stop any further, oxidation or rusting. So that was really important part. I didn't want any of this to rust off and, fall apart here. So yeah, this thing is surprisingly in good shape now. Save for the reproduction sticker, if this ever becomes available for the top and the back there. I think the next step will be upgrading the LCD to like a backlit LCD, and the chip upgrades to enhance the MIDI capabilities of this. That's just down the line. Other than that, this thing is perfect. I mean, I could just leave it as is. Yeah, that's about it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. And sometimes you just got to find a diamond in the rough. And every once in a great while, it does shine up pretty well. All right, you guys take it easy.